to start it now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Live at 5. Today we are super pumped to have the Paul Menton Center here, representatives from the Paul Menton Center, to chat with us a little bit about this specific student support that we have here at Carleton. My name is Carly Glantz, and I am the National Recruitment Advisor here in our undergraduate recruitment office. You may have seen me this fall in some of our presentations. Maybe I've had a student appointment with you. If I have, hello. If not, hopefully we can meet soon. There's so many different ways for us to connect and get some really valuable information and share our experiences here at Carleton to hopefully make your transition to university, to Ottawa, and to Carleton a little bit easier. I want to start today's presentation with how we start all of our presentations, and that is with acknowledging the location of our campus on the traditional and unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. This is super important to us because we really put a lot of emphasis on having a diverse and inclusive community and acknowledging and welcoming folks from all around the world, and that starts with right here at home with our Indigenous community here in Ottawa and at Carleton. So as I mentioned, there's a ton of different ways to stay connected with us over this winter. You're at Alive at 5, so that is a great start. Like I said, they happen weekly. So every week we dive into a different topic about our campus and our community here. If you've missed one in the past that you would have liked to check out, they're actually all recorded. And if you head over to our Live at 5 webpage, you'll be able to check out any of our past Live at 5 presentations. I also mentioned that I've been having some student appointments. And if you're looking to talk to someone one-on-one, you can book one of our future Ravens coffee breaks, where you can meet with myself or one of my colleagues to talk really anything Carleton, your program, what it's like to move here to Ottawa, maybe about the Paul Menton Center. So book one of those and get in touch with us so that we can talk all things Carleton. And lastly, I want to highlight the Talking Raven podcast, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more at the end of the presentation as well. But this is a bi-weekly podcast that we have here in our office, where we get to touch base with different members of our community, so faculty, staff, alumni, current students, and really talk about what creates the heartbeat of our community here at Carleton. But today's presentation is all about student support, and there's so many different ways that we support our students here at Carleton and really help foster and facilitate that community that we're all super proud of. Like I said, there's a long list. This is just some of them. So we have the Student Experience Office, which puts on our fall and summer orientation and so much more. If you're looking to find some more information about the Student Experience Office, they're actually going to be hosting one of these Live at 5s on Wednesday, March the 31st. We also have our Center for Student Academic Support, who puts on different workshops and helps you with your study skills to hopefully make the most of your experience here at Carleton. We have our Health and Counseling. We're having a Live at 5 where we're featuring mental health and well-being on April 7th. So if you are interested in learning more about our wellness community here at Carleton and how they can help support you as a student, definitely check out our mental health and well-being Live at 5 on April 7th. But today we are here and we're super lucky to have some guests from the Paul Menton Center to chat a little bit about what they do on campus and how they can help you with your transition to Carleton in the fall. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first guest, Amanda, who is the Disabilities Coordinator and Learning Strategist here at Carleton in the Paul Menton Center. So welcome, Amanda.
Hi, Carly. Thanks so much for the introduction. I'm so happy to be here this evening to chat with you all about the PMC for students with disabilities. So to get started, did you want me to start off a little bit about like how to register with PMC or what we do at the Paul Menton Center?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm a Disabilities Coordinator and Learning Strategist at the PMC. So what that means is that as a disabilities coordinator, I meet with students to set up formal accommodations or classroom accommodations based on their disability documentation and the courses that they're registered in. So if you're receiving accommodations in high school and you have an IEP and you're thinking, I might need some help in the future, then you're definitely going to want to connect with our office. And you can register with our office as soon as you accept your acceptance letter to Carleton and have a student ID number. And we love meeting with students over the summer so that we can chat with you about the services and accommodations that we can tailor specifically to you and your learning style and the courses you want to take. So that way, come September, when everything's super busy for everybody, all we have to do is meet quickly to set up accommodations and services for the term. So the earlier you can meet with us, the better. Yes, we are open in the summer, so we are available to students. We're meeting right now virtually with students on video appointments or through phone calls. And you can check out our contact information, which I believe will be posted. It's at the bottom there, carleton.ca/PMC. And in the left-hand navigation menu, there will be information there on how to register with PMC. So I also mentioned that I'm a learning strategist, and what that means is that we have a program for students where you can work. We work one-on-one with students to help them understand how to learn the material for their classes, which sounds pretty funny coming into university, but a lot of students don't get taught how to take notes for classes or how to do their readings or how to study for their courses or what type of assistive technology might help you with all of those things. So we work on pretty much everything that you need to help you learn your material without actually knowing anything about it. So that's what makes our service different from working with a tutor who would be more content specific. We also offer a volunteer note-taking service for students, so you can have a peer in your courses who takes notes for you. So that's outside the Learning Strategies program. I'm talking about other services now that PMC offers. We have so we can pair you with mentors through the student experience office that Carly was talking about earlier. So we have a conjoined program with them where you can be paired with an upper year PMC student if you need some assistance with transition, and several other services that are listed on our website, but those tend to be the most popular ones that students access.
Yeah, and if you are a student and you had an IEP in high school, can you just talk about, do they need that same documentation? Do they need a doctor's note or a specific diagnosis to get help from PMC?
That's a great question. So the IEP doesn't follow you to university. So unless you identify with the disability office that you require accommodations or you have disability, no accommodation is going to be put in place. To make things easier, we do have specific documentation guidelines on our website that you can go to and check out based on the nature of your disability. So I also recommend that if you're kind of confused as to like what documentation do I need or like how do I fill out these forms, you can always schedule an information session with a coordinator throughout the summer or at any point really to get some information about what you specifically can do to help prepare for going to university and getting accommodations at university.
Okay, awesome. And I just have one more question for you, and that is, obviously as high school students, we're used to having our parents there to help us along the way, but is this something that a parent can do? Can they reach out to PMC, or is it the student's responsibility to make that connection?
Carly, you always know the right questions to ask. Everything that you do is going to be coming from the student perspective. So although parents are a super awesome resource and a really important support network when students get to university, all communication to our office should be coming through the student. So even if a parent calls us to make an appointment, the parent can't be the sole person in attendance for the appointment. The student does need to be there. And moving forward, without the student's permission, we can't talk to parents or other family members or anything like that. So it remains completely confidential in terms of the student registering with the center, and we can't pass on any information without the student's permission or knowledge of doing so.
Okay, amazing. Was there anything else that you wanted to share before we move on to our next special guest?
I think that's pretty much everything. We do offer orientation sessions for students as well, usually at the end of August. So we will do a session to kind of tell students what they should expect for the fall if they haven't already met with a coordinator. It's also a great opportunity to hear from an upper year PMC students, as we often have mentors available. And actually, we have one today as another guest that will be speaking with you shortly. So I think I'll take this opportunity to introduce Natalie. So Natalie is a Bachelor of Science student in biology. And so she's going to talk to you about her first year experience. So Natalie, take it away.
Thank you, Amanda. So like she said, I'm a first year student studying biology, science degree. And I'm enrolled with the PMC because I do have a processing order disorder and mental illness, including generalized anxiety. But the PMC has allowed me to succeed very, very well. They've provided me with various resources and accommodations that have allowed me to succeed and do so well in all of my courses and enjoy them as well. So some of the accommodations that they've actually helped me with are extra time, like in high school, but it's a little bit different. So you'll be able to talk to your coordinator once you are enrolled to get more information about that. Some proctoring accommodations for online environments. So if I need a break or if I need a notepad for notes, that's included in the notes to the professor or the proctoring person that will be behind the software that's proctoring me, so that they are aware that I'm allowed those resources, along with, like Amanda said, the note takers. They are absolutely amazing and very, very helpful. They allow me to concentrate on lectures rather than having to just take notes the whole time. I also have access to tutors, which have helped me with various assignments and also making sure I understand the concepts in my classes, learning strategists such as Amanda, and disability counseling. So they help me with strategies on test anxiety and when I kind of blank out, I feel, during a test. And of course, the transcription services. So you can get your textbooks in a PDF format if you feel like that will be a benefit to you. So those are all the accommodations that I've accessed throughout the year. Gradually, I didn't just kind of jump into all of these resources because it is a lot, but over the year, when I've talked to my coordinator, this is what she's suggested to me, and they've really helped me. So the one thing that I would want to know as a high school student coming into university is that professors are there to help you. They are humans just like us, and they want to see you succeed. So ask them questions because they're so willing to answer, and they will do anything to help you as long as you are willing to help yourself succeed. There's no suggested timeline when it comes to completing university, so do what suits you and advocate for yourself.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Just one more question for you. If you had a piece of advice, just in general for students coming to university, what would be one piece of advice that you would give them?
You're not alone. Everybody, there's a lot of people going through it as well, and reach out because a lot of people are willing to help. So if you reach out, they will help you.
I couldn't agree more. And thank you so much again for sharing all of those examples. And I think a really awesome thing that you shared is that, you know, all of that didn't come all at once, right? Like these are resources and skills that you help build with people like Amanda and your professors and that kind of thing. So it's a journey, and there's like you said, so many people to help along the way. So that is an awesome message. So I didn't mention at the beginning, but I will mention now that we do have our live event Q&A. So hopefully some of you have had the opportunity to check that out. And now is the time that we're prepared to answer some of your questions in the Q&A. So I see one that can be kick us off here. And maybe Amanda, you can tackle this one. It's a question asking, will other students know that I'm a PMC student?
Sorry about that. So very similar to what I was talking about before with regards to having to register with PMC. Nobody will know you're registered with PMC unless you choose to disclose that. So Natalie talked a little bit about accessing volunteer note-taking notes, for example. So Natalie has no idea who her volunteer note taker is, nor does she know any of the other students in her class who could also be requiring notes as well. So that's something to keep in mind, is that unless you disclose you're a PMC student, only your professors will know that you're a PMC student if we send out letters of accommodation and you request formal accommodations. I will say as a side note, just listening to Natalie, because I always love listening to students speak. One of the things that I really admire about Natalie is her initiative in being able to ask questions. So like she mentioned, like I didn't tell her about all the services right up front. We tend to try and release things like as students move along. So, you know, Natalie really took the initiative in being able to ask questions, and she wasn't afraid to tell me like, hey, I'm having, you know, difficulties with this, or I was wondering if this thing was offered. And so every time we met, or every time I got an email from her, it just became more and more natural, I think, for Natalie to like explore what that looked like. So that was a really awesome thing to witness as well.
That's amazing. I have another question here from a student who's wondering if you have to re-register with PMC every semester, or if once you're a student within PMC, if that's for your whole time at Carleton.
So you only need to register with us once, unless you have a temporary disability. So that's definitely something to talk to your coordinator about once you have an info session or you register with PMC, and we'll usually let you know whether or not we need updated documentation or what that might look like. But typically you're only registering with us once. But maybe I'll let Natalie speak to how to request accommodations for future terms. Not sure if Natalie's available for that question.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, basically if you feel like you need accommodations, you can just email the PMC and ask to set up an appointment with a coordinator. It doesn't have to be a specific coordinator at that point. They will set you up with an appointment, and then afterwards, if you feel like you need to have a checkup or you need follow-up accommodations or always email them, and they're more than happy to meet with you, set up a time to meet with you.
Fantastic. And I'll keep you on, Natalie, for my next question here, and that's if you can just tell us, as a student who is using the note-taking service, I have a student here that's asking, how does that work? So how do you access those notes when they're available to you? And just reiterating that no one will know, they're saying no one will see it as for me, and that's correct, right? You get it kind of anonymously?
Yeah, so when I go to access my notes, I go through Carleton Central, and you have your own kind of, there's a PMC section in there that you click on My PMC. Once you click on that, you'll go into the PMC note-taking website. Once you get there, you can go either into note takers or people getting notes, which is what I would normally click. Once you click that, the only thing that pops up is the date that it was uploaded and the name that the person named it. So the file that the person named it. That's all I know about them, is that file and the date that they uploaded it. So after that, it's on to me if I want to look at them. Some people handwrite their notes, some people type them. Everybody is different. So it does vary from semester to semester, depending, because it is a volunteer service, depending which student is going to volunteer to take the notes. If you get them typed or if you get them handwritten, but they're always going to be scanned if they're handwritten. So you can always access them in a PDF format. It's very easy to access, and it's all anonymous. Nobody knows I'm getting their notes, and I have no clue who's giving me their notes.
And I will add to that having worked the back end of that service myself, sometimes there's a note taker who's taking notes for up to 20 to 30 people in the class. So again, there's no way for them to know like what's happening. But if Natalie ever had any like concerns about what was being included in the notes or needed clarification, she can always reach out to our note taking team, who anonymously touch base with a note taker to get them to clarify something or remind them to post notes. So we do have a staff team working on the back end that helps to facilitate how that service is being offered. I will also add in another point to what Natalie was talking about with regards to requesting accommodations. So you do need to request your accommodations every term. So even though you need to register with PMC usually only the one time, and you do only need to register with us once, but we might need updated documentation depending on what you submit. You do need to request your accommodations every term. So Natalie's right, you can request to meet with your coordinator, or in some cases too, you can also request your accommodations online. If you have something that's standard that you want to apply to every class, you don't always need to meet with your coordinator. You can do it online as well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So again, we're here with Amanda and Natalie, and if you have any more questions for them, feel free to post them in the live event Q&A. I just want to share a message here, Natalie, to you from a future student who's saying, as someone with anxiety, it's really nice to hear from a student with a similar experience. So thank you for sharing. And I definitely echo that. It's so awesome to hear a student experience and how you've been able to really take advantage of everything and seem to be doing really well. So just in terms of your program and in terms of science at Carleton, Natalie, how are you enjoying the science program?
It's really fun. I mean, I love biology, so if you can call science fun, it's fun. But I am very looking forward to when labs are in person so that we can actually interact, because right now they're trying their best to make them as interactive as possible, but of course you're not in person, so it's not the same thing. So I'm really looking forward to going back into person. But again, that's going to be another adjustment for everybody as well. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, my first year has been amazing. All of my instructors and professors have been absolutely amazing and willing to help. And concepts or just want to chat about the concepts, they're always open to that, and it's super enjoyable. You can also go to their office hours, which is something I did not know about before entering university. What is an office hour? Those are basically drop-in hours from your professor. They're weekly drop-in hours where you can go and ask them any question you have or talk to them about anything that you want to talk to them in regards to the course, of course. So those are amazing. Like even just going to listen to those really helped me out, because sometimes like you think you understand something, but then when you hear another perspective, like another way of saying it, it makes it a lot more understandable. So just sometimes just listening to other people's questions, it's like, oh, maybe I didn't understand that. And then you get a better understanding of it. So I find the professors, like I said, just ask your questions. They're always willing to help and they want to see their students succeed. So the best thing you can do for your own success is to ask questions.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip. And it's been obviously like a huge adjustment for everybody this year, but it's really good to hear that you've been enjoying it, and like science for me isn't fun, but I'm glad it's fun for you, and that you're excited for next year. We have another question here just about note-taking, the note-taking again. There seems to be a lot of interest about this resource, which is awesome. The question is, can you request or specify if you would like typed notes rather than handwritten notes? Or I guess another question would be, is there ever like more than one note taker in the class and you can decide between the two people's notes? Maybe Amanda, you can take this one.
Yeah, so quite commonly, especially in large first year classes, we'll have 2 note takers assigned to the class. And I sometimes I find that either both note takers will take type notes, or one might take handwritten, the other one might take type. So you can, if you're finding it difficult to read the handwriting, you can ask the note-taking team to ask the note taker to type their notes. Again, because it's a volunteer thing, it's essentially like we try not to overburden your peers too much, because the person who's taking notes for PMC students are students in the class themselves as well. So they're essentially just providing their own notes to students. And our students are still required to, watch their classes and take their notes. And you're really meant to kind of like supplement your own notes or look at both sets to kind of see like, oh, what was really important. So I think that's what Natalie was talking about too, when she was saying that it's nice that she doesn't have to like write down everything, but I'm sure she like watches her lectures with the PowerPoint slides that profs provide ahead of time, or like some of her reading notes that she'll do before class to kind of see like what they're going to talk about. So you should never really go into either a lecture or watching a lecture online just not having looked at the material before. And again, that's something that as working with a learning strategist, we can teach you to do as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fantastic. So that's all the questions that we have for now. We will hang around for 10 minutes or so after the presentation is finished. So definitely go ahead and keep putting your questions in the Q&A. Amanda, Natalie, myself, and my team here in the back will stick around and answer any questions that you might have. Before I let you go, I just wanted to take the opportunity again to plug our Talking Raven podcast. If you enjoy this conversation with Amanda and Natalie, tune into our podcast. We have conversations with people from all over campus. Maybe we'll highlight PMC in one of the upcoming episodes, because everyone seemed to really enjoy this conversation. So if you do have Spotify, you can go ahead and scan that barcode there. And it'll automatically open up to our podcast. Like I said, we release 2 new episodes every month. And our coworker, Stanley Fleep, is the host of that. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. And just want to wrap up the presentation again by saying thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you are having an awesome evening. Don't forget to check the status of your application on Carleton 360. So that's 360.carleton.ca, and that's where you can check to see the status of your application. And if you do have an offer of admission waiting for you, that's where it'll be there. Any questions that you have, you can head to our website, admissions.carleton.ca, or check us out on social media at Carleton_future. We've also posted the PMC website, and that's carleton.ca/PMC. So lots of information out there. Again, thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us, and we will hang around to answer any further questions that you have. So we'll stay in touch. Hope to talk again soon, and we will see you in our next presentation. It's me again here, so just
Oh, I think you might be muted, Carly. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I did actually have a question for Natalie, because I know that one of the things that she had mentioned before was connecting with different resources. And Natalie, did you say that you were attending like some online community things through your program, like BioBites? Can you tell us a little bit about like what kind of ways you've been able to connect with your peers or your program while we've been virtual?
Yeah, so we actually, there's a Carleton University Biology Society, CUBS for short, and they offer BioBites. So they have a professor that comes and does a presentation, and and then after that we can ask questions and chat with each other about our degree. So it brings up a lot of interesting questions. You get to meet people because you're not just sitting at home staring at your computer watching your lectures, and it's a nice to socialize. So and with people that have the same interests as you as well. That's what the nice thing as well. You're not just talking with people that don't really care. So yeah, I've really enjoyed those. It's a nice little social hour for me to get away from all the lectures and just glued to my computer alone. And there's a bunch of different clubs at Carleton. There's a bacon club. You can join any club you would like. They're all open, and some of them have applications. Most of them, though, you can just join, and basically, yeah, you could just join and enjoy. So that also a socialization aspect really helps, since being at home is kind of lonely. So joining those groups really do make it more interactive and makes me more motivated to do my schoolwork at the end of the day because I'm not alone.
Thank you. I just really, I remember you talking about them, and I wanted to take this opportunity to ask you about what they were all about.
That's awesome. All right, awesome. So again, our Q&A will remain open, and we're all here in the back. So feel free to ask your questions, and thanks again so much for joining us.